Hello, welcome back, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about Alibaba. Now, if you are a stockholder, as I am, you have been into a turbulent ride. The stock goes up, the stock goes down, like sometimes a lot. It goes up a lot, then goes down even more, then it comes back a bit, then it's down again. You just cannot know what's going to be happening with this company, and you can never really predict what the next day is going to bring. Some days it's up in the European market, some days the same day is actually down in the US market. So, what is actually going on? Now, I wanted to talk about a few very interesting and important things here in terms of Alibaba. I'm going to bring you the latest news and also talk a little bit about SoftBank, what happened, how this was regarded, and as well how a potential delisting will be affecting the company if that actually happens. So let's start with discussing a few things about the company and the stock. Now, the first thing here, China regulator says Alibaba, Tencent have submitted app algorithm details. And of course, you know about the crackdown that the Chinese government has been pretty much doing the past couple of years in terms of its companies. They have been actually pretty much tightening the screws in these companies. And right now, Tencent and Alibaba have submitted details of algorithms used in some of their products, complying with the drive by authorities to tighten oversight of platform algorithms. Now, generally speaking, you definitely will have noticed that the Chinese government does whatever it can under its power, which is pretty much immense, to actually pretty strongly bring down these stock values, the stock prices of these companies, pretty much all Chinese companies. And some of the very battered ones have been Alibaba and Tencent for sure, among others, of course. So this regulatory crackdown has really cost the companies. It can keep happening as long as the Chinese government keeps tightening the screws again. Now, will this happen? What is the reason behind that? Now, you have to think a little bit deeper into this one. We have seen the Chinese government pretty much imposing lockdowns for like 3 people getting a fever and then locking down the whole country, pretty much cracking down on their own companies. It's pretty obvious that they deliberately want to be dropping the value of their economy right now. It's the thing that they are doing, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, you cannot really not see that. It's happening daily, and the moment their stock market gets a little bit of a breather, then there is some sort of news, some crackdown, something is happening which brings down the company stock price again. And there is more to come, I'm pretty sure. There is, of course, the Taiwan issue. There is also the potential delisting issue in the US stock market. There is a ton of things that are happening in the geopolitical climate. But overall, what I do care about, and I understand that this whole situation can be super scary, but to me, it doesn't have an effect at all. I don't really care at all about what is happening in terms of governments, potential crackdowns, and what is pretty much playing on in the short-term environment that China is and the US is right now. Tons of things could be happening for a while. It could even last months or maybe 1 or 2 years. I don't think it's going to be more, frankly. But you could be having a period of time where things are going to be weird, and these stocks are going to be going down for a while. And this is going to be done deliberately, and it's going to be pretty much dropped. It's going to be dropping their stock prices for a while if they really want to, in a controlled manner. And I do think that one of the very important reasons why the Chinese government is actually doing that is that they want to impose their power pretty much on the capitalists, the Chinese capitalists. Remember that Jack Ma was actually a little bit too loud when talking about the government, and they don't like that. They want to be under control, and so this kind of situation could be a way to teach a lesson and kind of remind to capitalists, the Chinese capitalists, or the world capitalists, who the boss is in China. So I'm pretty sure all these things come into effect. And what we want to examine here is that SoftBank's son cools toward China tech. This actually was a sale that happened for Alibaba's stock pretty much from SoftBank, one of the major shareholders. And they sold a pretty large chunk here, a stake of $34 billion here is what they sold. And you will see all of these weird articles popping up here. For instance, Alibaba stock follow Masayoshi Son, that's the CEO of SoftBank, not Charlie Munger, who is actually still holding Alibaba. Now, of course, this article, I have gone through this article, is pretty nonsensical for the most part. It does mention things that are about Masayoshi, being very, very correct in his decision to sell Alibaba, while Charlie Munger has been keeping some of his stock, but aiming to sell potentially sometime in the future. Some nonsense, basically. But the thing is, you will see here, for example, that this article is actually making a DCF model in which they claim that the fair value of Alibaba is like $80. And again, this is a nonsense model here. It's actually based on an EPS, and they're actually getting the quarter value of the EPS instead of the annual one. That's like a quarter for Alibaba. And they actually did more than last quarter, I believe, than 1.8. So they're getting this for the annual. So this is very, very wrong, understandably. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the whole article is pretty bad here. But the thing that does matter is the fact, and this is what I wanted to touch base on, is this fact that they are looking at somebody actually selling shares, and because they have decided in their mind that Alibaba and Chinese stocks are a terrible investment, now they are talking about following this person, Masayoshi Son, which is like, again, the SoftBank CEO, forgetting what SoftBank has actually done in their past. So let's take a look. They have lost $39 billion in 6 months, wiping out the bubble gains of the Vision funds since 2017. They have actually done some of the worst investments ever, and they have invested in bubbles that have really gone down in value tremendously, as you'll see. Mega losses, imploded stocks and mega losses, embarrassed and remorseful is what SoftBank is, you'll see here. The Vision funds fiasco, it's two Vision funds and predecessor, booked investment losses of $22 billion in the quarter after having booked losses of $22 billion in the prior quarter for a combined $44 billion. And you will see this is a 6-month period annihilated the cumulative crazy bubble gains since 2017. Again, they were investing in some bubble companies, losing their shirt is what the article points out here. And after buying at the top and losing shirt, cost cutting and discipline. And this is when they are actually starting to get rid of what I think is actual value, like Alibaba is, just because of fearing this kind of geopolitical tensions. Forgetting the fact that they are actually selling a company that is definitely one of the top ones in China and the world, and it's valued at a very, very cheap valuation. And if I were the government of China, that's exactly what I would want capitalists to do: sell their holdings, basically, so that they have much less influence on the stock and the company, pretty much overall. So that would be a nice plan to follow here. And it looks like they're biting, and that's what's happening right now. And they have been an early investor in Alibaba and had enormous gains initially. Of course, the stock price has dropped tremendously. And the article pretty much generally points out how they have been investing in bubbles and losing tons of money here. And now they are selling into Alibaba as well, just to make a little bit of money. And we'll see. We'll of course see how that turns out to be. But I kind of wanted to talk about it because I think this kind of discussion is interesting, and we can potentially think about it and have a pretty much lively discussion in our comments. So, what do you think about Alibaba? What do you think about SoftBank? What do you think about the current situation? Are you fearful? Are you thinking that the Chinese government will actually bring down the company's stock price even more? I think that could be happening for a while. But do you think that there is going to be a time when the stock price is going to go up again? That's exactly what I think myself. This is why I'm a holder. But I'd like to hear your opinion. So if you're around, leave a comment below and let's talk about it. It's an interesting thing to talk about for sure. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is the other fear factor, the delisting, and what it means for investors. Now, people don't really know what this means. Typically speaking, of course, it's a good idea to talk to your broker, if you are your broker, just to make sure. Typically speaking, if you are in one of the major brokers, you're going to be pretty much converted to Hong Kong shares. So you're going to be getting 8 shares of Hong Kong, the Hong Kong index, instead of one share, one of your shares that you own in the US market, the ADRs, because the ADRs are pretty much a structure that is actually 1 to 8 shares, Hong Kong shares, that is. Now, generally speaking, when you are holding a Chinese company, a Chinese stock, you cannot really do that. It's forbidden in the US. So there is a structure, pretty much a Cayman Island structure, which I know sounds weird, but it's very, very normal for Chinese stocks. That is called VIE, in which case you can actually utilize that in order to be buying these kinds of companies, which otherwise you would be forbidden to buy as a foreign investor in China. So it's still possible there. And this is what is going to happen with your stock more than likely. Again, you may want to confirm with your brokerage, but I'm pretty sure that's probably what's going to be happening in like 99% of cases, if not all of these, frankly. But what does it mean when there is going to be a delist here? Practically speaking, what is going to be happening is that you won't be able to trade it in the major exchanges. So you know it could be that you can trade it over the counter, of course, through online brokerages. And again, you're gonna be getting the Hong Kong shares. Now, you may be having a little bit of a hard time selling for the first few, months or so, something of that sort. But as a long-term investor, that shouldn't really deter you that much. And yeah, there could be less volume. And the thing that most people would be fearful of is that the stock price could go down, and that is likely to happen for a while. That is actually likely to happen if there is going to be a delist. The stock price could go even lower. So what would be my reaction then? Would I be selling? Would I be buying more? What would my reaction be? So based on what I'm seeing right now with Alibaba and its latest pretty much earnings report and how they're doing as a business, if the stock price goes down significantly more after a delist, let's just say it goes $50, I'm definitely buying more. I will be adding to my position, no doubt about that. Now, of course, this is not to say that you should be doing the same. Everybody has their own opinions and preferences, but I'm just telling you what I'm looking to do. When and if that happens. Do I think that it will happen? I don't think so, but you never know. Anything goes with China and the US these days, so it could end up happening. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I think these are some interesting points that we had to talk about since the stock has been going up and down like a roller coaster, a true one. And I really, really wanted to make a video and talk about all these fine points. And again, I'd love to hear your opinion. Leave a comment below and remember to leave a like if you enjoyed this kind of discussion. And, just let me know what you think about the whole situation. Thank you for watching this video once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.